Good evening, children. Tonight's story in honour of St George, whose feast day it is today, is called George and the Dragon. And this is a version of the legend of George. Here we go. George was a soldier, strong and brave. He rode a huge horse called Bayard. One day he saw the king and all his people weeping and wailing. "What's wrong?" asked George. "The dragon is going to eat my daughter," the king cried. "Our only water comes from a spring which is guarded by a fierce dragon. He won't let us have any water unless we feed him every day. He's already gobbled up all our sheep and goats. Now he demands a young girl to eat every day," said the king. "We had a lottery to see who would be eaten first, and the princess lost." "Please fight that wicked dragon," begged the king. "Otherwise the princess and all our young girls will die." "I will fight this greedy monster," said brave George. He put on his armour and picked up his weapons. George rode Bayard to the spring just below the town. The townspeople watched from a safe distance. The foulest odour that George had ever smelt filled the air. Suddenly there was a roar like thunder as the dragon soared down upon him. Its vast wings blocked out the sun. A great burst of flame shot from the dragon's mouth. Bayard's tail was sizzled like a sausage. George aimed his lance at the dragon's body and charged. But the dragon's shimmering scales were so hard that George's lance crumbled into 1,000 pieces. He was thrown to the ground, and Bayard raced for the safety of the town. George rolled under a tree and drew his sword. Another burst of flames set the tree ablaze, and the heat cracked the soldier's armour wide open. Without any armour, George hid amongst the rocks. The dragon roared as it lost sight of its prey. It lifted its wings to soar into the sky and search for George. Brave George leapt out and thrust his sword under the dragon's wing. There were no scales to protect the dragon here, and the blade went straight into its heart. Dark blood burst forth and stained the ground. The dragon was dead, and the princess was saved. The people of the town rejoiced, and the king gave George a huge bag of gold as a reward. George used it to buy more sheep and goats for the people of the town, and then he went quietly on his way. Wow, that is what you call the definition of a good deed, isn't it? Very brave. Okay, well, that's it. Very short story. George and the Dragon. Good night, sleep well, and remember, say your prayers, and I'll see you tomorrow.